Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of the series. We've been going over the classes for Warhammer Return of Reckoning, which is the private server for Warhammer Age of Reckoning, which closed down 5 years ago. We just finished going over the 12 classes for Order side for Dwarves, Empire, and High Elves. Now we're going to go over the Destro classes for Greenskin, Chaos, and Dark Elves. Similar classes, slightly different. If you ever played Dark Age of Camelot, you know that between Albion, Midgard, and Hibernia, they were similar classes, but also different, unique. Things aren't always mirrored in the exact same way. Mechanics stay the same, though. So let's go over Greenskin first. So again, they have the 4 different archetypes. They have the tank, healer, physical DPS, and range DPS. So let's start with the tank, the Black Orc. Similar to Swordmasters, that's the mirror. They can use a sword and shield, or they can use a two-handed great weapon. Probably the strongest physical two-handed tank on Destro side. They put out a lot of DPS. They have a lot of really great abilities. They can guard. They have a 1-2-3 combo type mechanic. They have a great silence. They have a knockdown. Overall, just a really solid tank and really good group support. Next, we have the melee DPS for Greenskin, the Choppa. It's either a two-handed great weapon wielding class or a dual wielding class. They get a lot of really good spells. Similar to the Slayer, they need a lot of support to do well. Their mechanic makes them take more damage, Berserk. So as they do more damage, they take more damage. So if they have a guard and a healer, they do great. On their own, they're a little bit rough. So if you're going to play one of these, you probably want to have some friends. But yeah, a lot of really good abilities. They have a pull-in AoE. They have a self-healing channeled ability. They have a charge. Really, really good class, but again, very squishy. Next, we have the ranged attacker. We have the Squig Herder. Really unique class. They have 3 very distinct specializations. They can go melee, where they hop into a giant squig, and they are kind of like a tanky physical DPS class with a ton of utility and group CC. They can go long-range bowcaster with their squig attacking by their side, or they can go a kiting type spec, similar to the Shadow Warrior. Next, we have the healer for Greenskin, the Shaman. Cute little buggers. They are the mirror of the Archmage class. They can go either really strong range DPS, magic dealer, or they can go a hybrid or pure healer. They have a single target hot toughness buff. They have a lot of really great heals, a lot of mobility, an auto detaunt tactic. Really survivable, really hard to kill, and cute as all heck. So great healer. Probably a little bit of a tougher healer to play. Not as easy as, let's say, the Rune Priest or the Zealot. All right, that's the Greenskin classes, guys. Next, we're going to move on to everyone's favorite Chaos. Ton of really good classes here. They're all really good. Let's start off with the Chosen, everyone's favorite. They look amazing. They are similar to the Knight of the Blazing Sun. They have auras. They call them curses, but they're an aura that buffs the team with either stats or resists or increasing chance to crit. They can go sword and shield or two-handed great weapon. They just received a massive buff recently to their two-handed spec, so they have a lot of group utility. They can guard. They can knock their enemy back. They can knock them down. They have a 3-second area of effect stagger to interrupt and to immobilize their enemies. Really great class, really great tank. Everyone always wants a Chosen in their group. Next, we have the Marauder. They are the melee attacker for destruction side. As you can see, their arm can change into different forms, so either be a more AoE spec, a single target, defensive or offensive. They have a pull ability to bring your enemy towards you and your team. They have a knockdown. They have a charge. They have a range knockdown. They do a ton of damage. They are an amazing class and probably one of the strongest melee classes on Destro side and in the game. Next, we have the Magus, the ranged attacker for Chaos. They hover on their discs. They are the mirror class of the Engineer. They have kind of pets they put down, little turret pets that just are immobile, that give them buffs to their damage and their range. So they're the best kind of fortifying defensive caster. Really, really good in a mobile position. Not as good on the run, but a really good caster. They have a ton of really good bursts, and they have abilities that can hit you from a crazy range, probably the longest ranged attacker in the game with engineers. One ability they have can hit from 188 feet, so yeah, they can kill you from a mile away. Good caster, good DPS. And finally, we have the Zealot. They're the mirror of the Rune Priest class. They have buffs for their teammates. They have a self-res. They have a ranged, kind of a mesmerized type spell. They can put runes, rituals on the ground that give their enemy buffs, hots and heals. Just kind of the pure caster, pure healer that most people recognize. They do have a magic dealing damage spec, but it's not the tippity top. I mean, Shaman are definitely the better ranged healer hybrid class. And then finally, we have the last race for destruction. We have Dark Elves. Again, you have the healer, tank, melee DPS, and range DPS. Let's start off with the tank, the Blackguard. They have a similar mechanic to the Ironbreaker. As they get closer to their hatred, they spend it to use abilities. They have a guard. They have a two-handed spear spec. They are the anti-magic tank. So if you hate casters, they do really well against them. They have a ton of abilities that buff their disrupt. They're a great class, kind of that middle ground class that can kind of do everything. Next, we have the Witch Elf. It's the stealth class for destruction side, the mirror of the Witch Hunter. They can stealth. They have dual-wielding weapons, daggers. They have these kind of like kisses that they can buff themselves with that give them extra damage or extra abilities. A knockdown, and I think they also have an AoE knockdown. So yeah, if you want to be that solo stealthing class that you played in like a rogue or a shadow blade, this is it for you. And then finally we have the sorcerer, mirror of the bright wizard. Same mechanic, more combustion or dark magic you have, closer to 100, the more damage you deal. They can burst you down, one of the highest damage casters on destruction side. They also have some pretty good group utility, reduction in damage, increasing their allies' chance to critically hit or do more damage. Yeah, just the pure caster deals damage to themselves, so they do need support, but a great choice if you want to be that class that blows things up. And finally, the last class, the last healer, Disciple of Cain, mirror of the warrior priest. They can go 3 distinct specs the same way. Two-handed dual-wielding weapons for pure melee, weapon and shield for melee heals, and then finally weapon and chalice for pure healer. Medium robes again, the most defensive tank on Destro side. Group heals extraordinaire, AoE cleanse, really good healer. Everyone always wants a Disciple of Cain in their group. They have group ups as well. Just a really, really solid, really good healer. Not the best single target heals or out of group heals, but in a group setting, they are amazing. And yeah, that's it, guys. So 24 classes in all, 12 per side. A lot of different abilities. This game has a crazy amount of classes and a crazy amount to learn, but hopefully this gave you a little bit of an indication of what each class is capable of. If you ever want to ask more questions or want to go into more detail, feel free to come into my stream, the Zarbix, on Twitch. I can definitely answer your questions. We can talk about it. Hopefully you found some of this informative. There's a lot to go over. There's a lot to know. This is my first attempt at this kind of video. So yeah, if you like the content, feel free to subscribe to the channel or come follow me on Twitch. And yeah, have a great day, guys. And thank you so much. I'll see you next time.